Okay, so I'm going to take my finished design and I'm going to cut this out on the edge. I want to make sure that I cut right on the line and I don't lose any of the design. So we're going to go ahead and do this. This is a 6 by 8. So same thing all the way. Now the rolling pins that we're using are not exactly 8 inches. And so we're going to look and check. Everybody's is just a teeny bit different. They're very close to being that size. But we're going to check and see. If you can look at this, it's almost like it's missing half of one of those boxes. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to trim one of those off. And not the whole thing, just like in the middle of it, and cut that part off. This really isn't going to matter because we're rolling on a piece of clay and we're going to end up using the middle. So it's not a big deal. Okay, but it's going to make it easier to place it on top of this rolling pin if it's the same size. Okay, I'm going to take a Sharpie that I can see maybe a little bit better and mark. Mine was black. Some people had black, and I mean, it's a little harder to see there. But I'm going to make sure that I can see them because I'm using this piece of paper to put grid lines on my rolling pin. Okay. And if we have a grid on the rolling pin, it's going to make it easier for us to line up the design that we made, and it's going to make it look seamless. Okay, you can't skip any of those steps. So I'm going to raise this up, and you can see this one does have some residual marks on this side. It also has some on this side, but I mean, which one's right? Some of these, I mean, this one looks smaller over here. So I would not use anybody else's rolling pin as like they did things perfectly. Okay, you need to measure yourself and make sure that they did that correctly, because it's possible that they didn't. Okay, we want to line this up, and so if you look right now, you can see that my design doesn't match. The paper's not quite like flush. Okay, and you can see that that would be right all the way down. So I'm gonna do the whole rolling pin, like raise this up to the top. Make sure that my piece of paper is flush and tight all the way around. Okay, and then I'm going to raise this up so I can see the top of this. And so I'm going to have to look at the side. Do you see right here where my mark is? And then I'm going to use a pencil and make that mark over here. And for me, I don't want to use their marks. I'm just going to use mine. Okay, and then even here, this is where it overlaps. Okay, so I'm making a mark here. I think a wooden pencil works better because it'll give you a darker mark. Okay, same kind of thing, marking those. And that one went a little too much on that side. Okay, so I've got 6 of them there. And you can see, I mean, I can tell which ones are mine, right? The darker ones that are on here. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm keeping this on the rolling pin, okay? Because if I move it, then I'm not going to have it in the same place on the other side. Okay, so I'm going to tip it to the side and look and make sure that I can see where those marks are going to go. Okay, so I've got all those marked, and now what I'm going to do is, since these are on the edge, I'm going to look at them and draw them on the side. Okay, so then you can see them that way. Okay, it's a little bit harder to put a ruler on the edge when you can't see where the mark is going to be. So I'm going to flip that and look at it, make a mark on all of those. On this side, there's just 6, and then I'm going to flip, do the same thing. Okay, so I've got 6 on there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, take my ruler, and I'm going to hold as much as I can on the inside of this, and I'm going to line these marks up. Okay, so you can see from here to here, and I'm going to do my best to draw a line across that. And sometimes you have to draw more than once. I kind of lifted up when I did this one, but I can see my line. Okay, and same thing, connect them. Okay, and you've got another line, and you'll just continue, get those 6 lines on there. Okay, so you've got, whoops, that one lifted up a lot. You can erase on this if you have a part that's like not right. Okay, it'll go away. Okay, same thing, last one. I'll get those. Okay, so I've got this divided into 6. Let's see if you can see it better up here. 6 sections, okay? And then I'm gonna need to do the same thing up and down. So I have this piece, and I'm going to lay this on one of those lines, and I'm gonna make some marks. If you look, this is the smaller side, okay? And so I'm going to give myself a reminder. I'm going to put an S over here. I'm going to write small on this side so I know that that side's smaller. Okay, that I trimmed it. And then I'm going to make all these little marks right here. Okay, and it's kind of difficult to get a straight line around something that's curved. But really the best thing that I have found is using this piece of paper. And you can see the hash marks that you made. If you can line your paper up and make it flat on top of this, okay, so you can't have it where it's showing like that, where it's overlapped. You need to have it right on top. Let's see if I can shimmy it. Okay, so you can see like on this, it's right on top of it. So it's flush all the way around. Does it make sense? You see that? So what I can do is I can hold on to this and I can twist and I can find that mark. Okay. And then I can hold this and draw my line on that edge right on the rolling pin. Okay. And then you don't let go of this. You only have to place it one time. You hold this tight and you just shimmy, shimmy, and you find your next hash mark. There it is. Okay, right there. And then you would draw your line on it. Okay, so you can see how, I mean, I've tried lots of different ways, and really this is the best. A piece of paper is really flexible. A ruler, you can't bend quite this much. A rubber band isn't tight enough. So this is the best way. Okay, and you just keep rolling and moving it until you find your next hash mark, and then same thing, go all the way around. Okay, so twist, find it again, and you only have to do 7 of these, right? There's really not that many, I promise. Oops, I missed part of that one. Okay, let me get the rest of these. There's another mark. And then that bottom one is going to be just a little bit smaller. And I have a hard time getting that mark I have to flip the paper. Where's my mark? There it is. Right here. Let me show you what I mean. I don't have enough left of the rolling pin to like hold on to it. And so I have to flip this over to get this last one. Okay, which is not a big deal. Just make sure you get it straight, have it overlap, and then this will go over. Okay, so that is all that you need to do to put the grid on there. And this corresponds with the grid that you have here. Okay, and I wrote an S. This is smaller. This side is smaller, so I know that. And now I'm going to use a piece of foam. This is sticky foam. Okay, so it's just a big sticker. Okay, and I'm going to glue on this side. Okay, and this is one that's been used, and I'm going to recycle it. It is exactly, because I had 9 by 12 pieces, is exactly 6 inches wide. And so you need to make sure that you get it centered on there. And if you look on this side, there's extra paper, so you don't want to push it all the way to the edge or you're going to lose some of that design. Okay, so I'm going to take a glue stick and I'm going to coat the back of this. Okay, whoops, is this the right? Yeah. And you just want to make sure you get enough glue on there that it's not just on the outside, that it's all the way through it. And if you don't have a glue stick at home and you don't get to this part in class, then you need to take a glue stick with you. Okay, so I've got all this covered. I'm going to do my best to get it right in the center, right on top of that paper. Okay, and then I'm going to work from the center and push that out. And really, if I'm a little bit, this foam might be a tiny bit smaller, it should be fine. Okay, so I've got that stuck on. You really want to wait for this to dry or you're going to like gum up your scissors. And that can make it kind of hard to cut. But I'm going to go ahead and cut just a part of this and let the rest of it dry. So this is going to be upright. We have to think about it this way. We need everybody else's eyes up here. We're going to miss some important things. This is vertical, right? And this is vertical. And so this fits back on this way. And I have some people who wrap this around and they freak out that it doesn't fit anymore. Okay. And it won't because the foam is there and it's thicker. Okay. But this box, this 1-inch box corresponds to this 1-inch box, right? And the same thing with this one being this one. And I'm going to cut out all of the dark areas, but I'm not going to cut on the grid. Okay. I don't want to cut these pieces apart. I want to cut them out together. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a few of these out. I'm going to cut this out. Okay. I'm going to cut out this one. And we're going to put at least part of this together. And I'm going to get the center. So I'm going to have like 3 or 4 pieces to put together. Okay, so I would cut out a few, okay? I would not cut out the whole thing. If you cut out the whole thing, then you're going to have a huge puzzle to put together. So I'm just going to cut out a section, and then I'm going to be able to put these back where they went on my grid. Okay, so I've got this upright. I'm going to peel these and stick them where they should go. And so I have one that is right in the center of like this one, right in the center of it. So it'll get placed here. I have one that's gonna go diagonal that will get placed